The personal pronoun I, part 2, loops and handwriting. I'm Fiona MacKay, and in this video we're going to look at the personal pronoun I, and it's part 2 video, and in this part we're going to look at loops. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, if you look at the top right of your screen, there'll be a little I information box. If you click on that, that will take you to that video, or I'll also put a link below in the description box. This video, part 2, loops in the personal pronoun I and handwriting, coming right up. Personal pronoun I, part 2, loops and handwriting. Loops are very significant in the personal pronoun I. They have a different meaning than do loops in other letters. In the personal pronoun I, loops relate to family, parents or parental influencers in particular. The mother influence relates to whoever supplies or supplied the mother influence in your life. It may not be your biological or even an adoptive mother. It may be a grandparent or other family member, or it may be someone who is no blood relation at all. The same goes for the father influence. Whoever supplies or supplied the father influence in your life, if anyone did, sometimes the father influence is missing. But first, a quick quiz. Which of the writing below shows strong mother influence, a joint mother-father influence, or a very little father influence? You can pause the video if you like to have a better look, and the answers will be at the end of this video. When the personal pronoun I has a loop on the top, this shows that mother influence is still retained. The bigger the loop, the stronger the influence. And there's one there with a loop on the top half showing mother influence, and there's another one. So they're both showing good mother influence. They're quite big loops. It doesn't necessarily mean that the mother and child are close, or even necessarily on good terms. Now there's a narrower loop showing less mother influence, and there's another large loop. It just means that whatever influence the mother had, good or bad, is still having its influence. The lower loop on the personal pronoun I shows father influence. Again, the same applies. Large loop, big influence, small loop, less influence. And there they are, two of them. The first one has quite a large loop on the bottom, and the second one there has a almost closed loop. But there is some loop there, so there is some father influence. No lower loop means no influence, and the father figure may or may not have been physically absent during the childhood, but either way, he had no retaining influence. So there's one, it actually has some retracing, but it's got no loop on the bottom. And that one just has no loop at all at the bottom. When the top and bottom loops are both present, but not touching each other, as you'll see in that one there, and again more clearly in that one there, the parental figures had separate influences on the child. So they both had an influence, but they each had an individual separate influence on the child. When top and bottom loops are touching each other or overlapping each other, this one they're touching, and this one it's very obviously overlapping in a very large top loop's a very large mother influence. It means the parents had a joint influence. A very narrow loop can indicate a problem relationship with whichever parent the loop indicates. So that one there has a very narrow lower loop, so that could indicate a problem father relationship. As illustrated in the personal pronoun I, part 1, A personal pronoun I with no loops indicates the writer has shaken off all parental influence and has become independent. And there quickly are just two independent I's. If you haven't seen part 1, there's a link below in the description box. A personal pronoun I, which is written like a lowercase l, as in the word lower, love, or lady. And there's one there, it looks like an L. And this one, watch the arrows, they're going to follow around the way it went. So that's drawn like an L, it's back to front for an I. And that's that same one there. When it's drawn like a lowercase l, it indicates rebellion. Someone who has a different view of themselves, and they may well pretend to follow the rules, but in reality, they find ways to do their own thing regardless. Here's a last look at the quick quiz. Which writing below shows a strong mother influence, a joint mother-father influence, or very little father influence? Again, you can pause the video if you like to have a better look. The answers will be in just a few seconds. So that's it for the personal pronoun I, part 2, loops. An upper loop means mother influence is still retained by the writer. A lower loop means father influence is still retained by the writer. If there's no loop, then it means there's no influence in whatever area there is a lack of a loop. When there are two separate loops, there are loop upper and lower, but they're separate, it means the parents had a separate influence on the child. And when the loops either touch or overlap, it means the parents had a joint influence. And where a loop is retraced, then it could mean a problem relationship. And where it's drawn like an L, so it's a back to front I loop, it indicates rebellion. So that's it for the personal pronoun I, part 2, loops. This is practicalhandwritinganalysis.com. Right on. Practical Handwriting Analysis, Graphology Explained. This book will inform, educate and entertain. Practical explanations with clear illustrations. A professional looking character sketch template plus character sketch guidelines to make it easy for you to fill it out fast. Plus there are instructions on how to throw a handwriting party. Everything you need to become an amateur graphologist. Answers to the quick quiz. Which writing below shows strong mother influence, a joint mother-father influence, or very little father influence? Now that one down there has none. It doesn't have a strong mother influence. It's got a small loop on the top, so it's got some mother influence, but not strong. It's got no loop on the bottom, so it doesn't have a joint mother-father because it's got no father influence. And it doesn't have very little father influence. It's got absolutely no father influence. So that one actually doesn't count. And this one here has mother influence, reasonably large, not huge. So it's got a strong mother influence. And it's got a very small loop on the bottom, so it has very little father influence. It's got some, but not much. So that one has 2 out of the 3. This one has an upper loop, showing strong mother influence, a good size loop. It's got joint loops. The upper and lower loop are touching, so that means it's a joint mother-father influence, and the father influence is quite large. It's a decent sized loop, so it's not got very little father influence, it's got quite strong father influence, so that one also has 2 out of 3. How did you do?